Today is the day for the big respiration, photosynthesis, etc. plant cell test. And I'm going to read it to you as usual. You're using Edpuzzle to answer the questions. And let's begin. Number one. What are the raw materials used by green plants for photosynthesis? A. Carbon dioxide and water. B. Oxygen and glucose. C. Oxygen and water. D. Carbon dioxide and glucose. All right, let's move on to question two. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Let's see what makes sure we know we're answering the right question. All right, not the most seamless thing, but okay, let's do it. Question two. The table below provides some information concerning organelles and organs. First column says function. Second column says organelle. Third column says organ. Gas exchange, nutrition, cell membrane, food vacuole, lung, stomach. Based on this information, which statement accurately compares organelles to organs? A. Organs function in multicellular organisms while organs function in single-celled organisms. B. Organs maintain homeostasis while organelles do not. C. Functions are carried out more efficiently by organs than by organelles. Or D. Organelles carry out the functions similar to those of organs. All right, we're on to number three. Question number three. An activity carried on by every living plant and every animal is A. Transpiration, B. Respiration, C. Reproduction, D. Photosynthesis. Question number four. What structure controls the size of the opening in leaves through which gases move in and out? A. Guard cells, B. Chloroplasts, C. Organelles, D. Chromosomes. Question number five. Scientists are studying ocean organisms are discovering new and unusual species. Which observation could be used to determine that an ocean organism carries out autotrophic nutrition? A. Digestive organs are visible upon dissection. B. The organisms synthesize enzymes to digest food. C. Chloroplasts are visible inside of the cells. Or D. The organism lives close to the surface. Question number six. Let's get this in our picture here. There we go. Oh. In the diagram below, arrows show the direction of movement of various substances. So here's a picture of the cell. You see food going in, waste coming out, CO2 coming out, O2 going in. Which of the cell's life activities do these arrows represent? A. Growth, digestion, and locomotion. B. Nutrition, reproduction, and regulation. C. Ingestion, regulation, and synthesis. Or D. Excretion, transport, and respiration. All right, question number seven. This guy right here. In the stomach and small intestines of a human, foods are broken down into usable forms. What organelle serves the same purpose in an animal cell? A. Ribosome, B. Cell membrane, C. Lysosome, or D. Vacuole. Question number 8. Which organelle is correctly paired with its function? A. Centriole synthesizes. That's not your bell. That's the bell when I was reading the test. 8. Which organelle is correctly paired with its function? A. The centriole synthesizes digestive enzymes. B. The chloroplast serves as a site for photosynthesis. C. The lysosome packages cellular products. Or D. The nucleus provides carbohydrates fermentation. Tricky ones here. Number 9. Oh, that's a hydra. All right. The question is, get myself out of the way here. All right. Question is, which of the following statements best describes the life function of the hydra shown below? And you can see O2 moving in, O2 moving in, CO2 coming out, CO2 coming out. A. Sperm cells are transported by osmosis from the environment into the internal cavity where fertilization occurs. B. Food is photosynthesized and converted into energy through cellular respiration. C. Respiration occurs by diffusion through the hydra's epidermis. D. Gas exchange between a hydra's internal cavity and its environment allows the hydra to move freely in its environment. All right, we're on to number 8. Or no, I'm sorry, 8. How much, Mr. Kovac? No, number 10. Number 10. Let's see. I'll get this in the right place. I'll get me out of the way. There you go. Most green algae are able to obtain carbon dioxide from the environment and use it to synthesize organic compounds. This activity is an example of A. Cellular respiration. B. Autotrophic nutrition. C. Saprophytism. D. Hydrolysis. Question number 11. ATP is a compound that is synthesized when A. Energy is stored in nitrogen is released, forming amino acids. B. Energy stored in chemical bonds is released during cellular respiration. C. Chemical bonds between carbon atoms are formed during photosynthesis. Or D. Digestive enzymes break amino acids into smaller parts. All right, let's do the next one. Number 12. Question 12 refers to this drawing up here. And again, I'm going to get me out of the way. There we go. All right. This diagram below represents a cross-section of part of a leaf. You see this part right here is labeled X. Which life functions are directly regulated through the feedback? That was the other bell, not your bell. Which life functions are directly regulated through the feedback mechanisms associated with the actions of the structure labeled X? A. Circulation and reproduction. B. Respiration and photosynthesis. C. Digestion and coordination. Or D. Excretion and immunity. All right. Which summary word equation? Let's pull down this so we focus only on the correct question. Which summary word equation best describes a process that directly requires light energy? Is it A. Water plus carbon dioxide makes glucose plus oxygen plus water? B. Glucose plus glucose makes maltose and water. C. Glucose makes alcohol, carbon dioxide, and ATP. Or D. Glucose plus oxygen makes carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Question 14 refers to the following. Let's take a look at question 14. The diagram below represents some metabolic activities in a chloroplast. So here's some light, water, carbon dioxide. This is B, this is A, and this is number 1. Which substance acts as an immediate energy source for the reactions that occur in part of the diagram labeled B? So that's right here. Is it A, CO2, B, ATP, C, PGAL, or D, O2? Ooh, question 15. Which activity do plant cells perform that animal cells do not perform? Is it A, respiration, B, photosynthesis, C, reproduction, or D, locomotion? All right, we're on to question 16. Oh, look, pictures of cells. Now let's wrap that question so we can understand what we're being asked here. All right, let's get out of the way. All right. Which of the following statements best describes the cells shown? A, DNA would not be found in either A or B. B, cell B lacks vacuoles while A has them. C, both A and B use energy released from ATP. D, both A and B produce antibiotics. We're on question 17. An organelle that releases energy for metabolic activity in a nerve cell is the A, mitochondrion, B, vacuole, C, ribosome, D, chloroplast. Question 18. What cell structure makes a plant cell more rigid than an animal cell? A, cell wall, B, cytoplasm, C, ribosome, D, cell membrane. Ooh, question 19. Question 19 refers to the following. The diagram below illustrates the movement of materials involved in a process that is vital for the energy needs of organisms. So here's an organelle, and water is going in, oxygen out, CO2 in, glucose out. Which phrase correctly identifies this organelle and best describes its function? A, it's the vacuole, which acts as a temporary storage site for water and toxins. B, it's a ribosome, which provides a site for protein synthesis. C, it's the cytoplasm, which provides a site for dehydration synthesis. Or D, it's a chloroplast, which carries out photochemical and carbon fixation reactions. Let's move on to number 20. Ooh, that looks like almost like the lab we did with. Yeah, it does. It really does. All right, question 20. That's right. No problem. Question 20. A small water plant, Elodia, was placed in a bright sunlight for 5 hours, indicated below. Bubbles of oxygen gas were observed being released from the plant. Question 20. Since oxygen gas is being released in the experiment shown, it can be inferred that the plant is A, making protein, B, producing glucose, C, releasing energy from water, or D, carrying on active transport. All right, let's do question 21. Oops, I missed it. There we go. Question 21. An investigation was carried out and results are shown below. Substance X resulted from a metabolic process that produces ATP in yeast, a single-celled fungus. You can see this is the glass apparatus. It looks like the letter J. It's sealed, has sugar, yeast, and water in it. And then several hours later, it looks the same except for there's a space marks X. Which one of the following statements best describes substance X? A, it is starch that was produced during the digestion. B, it is glucose that was produced in photosynthesis. C, it was oxygen released by protein synthesis. Or D, it is carbon dioxide and was released by respiration. Question 22. Let's move down there. There we go. Question 22. The student is using a compound light microscope to observe a wet mount of unstained human cheek cells. Which cell organelle would most likely become more visible after she adds iodine solution to the slide? A, the nucleus, B, the ribosome, C, the cell wall, or D, the mitochondrion? Question 23. Cellular respiration in humans occurs in A, the cells of the lungs only, B, the cells of the digestive system only, C, all of the cells of the body, or D, red blood cells only. Oh, look at this nice graph chart here. What are we on? Question 24. Let's ISO that. Question 24. Question 24. Equal amounts of a mixture of yeast and water. Let's get this out of the way here. Yeah, there you go. Equal amounts of a mixture of yeast and water were placed in each of 4 different test tubes. One of the 4 different sugars, A, B, C, or D, was added to each test tube in equal concentration. The volume of CO2 liberated from each solution was measured every few minutes, and the data are plotted on the graph as shown below. Right? It says CO2 production by yeast from 4 different sugar solutions at 40 degrees Celsius. The y-axis is volume of carbon dioxide liberated, and the x-axis is time. Which sugar solution was the first to liberate a measurable volume of CO2? Was it A, B, C, D? Question 25. The diagram below represents an autotrophic cell. You see there's something part there labeled A. For the process of autotrophic nutrition, the arrow labeled A would most likely represent the direction of movement of A, carbon dioxide, water, and solar energy. B, oxygen, glucose, and solar energy. C, glucose, water, and heat energy. Or D, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and heat energy. Question 26. An enzyme known as Rubisco. Come back here, 26. An enzyme known as Rubisco enables plants to use large amounts of carbon dioxide. This enzyme is most likely active in the nucleus, B, the vacuoles, C, the mitochondria. That scared me. Why are we getting middle school announcements? An enzyme known as Rubisco enables plants to use large amounts of carbon dioxide. This enzyme is most likely active in the A, nucleus, B, vacuoles, C, mitochondria, or D, chloroplast. '27. Which organ system in humans is most directly involved in the transport of oxygen? Is it the A, excretory system, B, digestive system, C, nervous system, or D, circulatory system? We're getting down there near the nitty gritty, near the end. What are we on? Question 28. Here, let's isolate that. There you go. This one. 28. Which molecules must be present? Which molecules must be present in order for energy production to occur in the mitochondria of an animal cell? A, oxygen molecules. B, carbon dioxide molecules. C, chlorophyll molecules. Or D, lactic acid molecules. Question 29. Under certain conditions, the openings of stomates in leaves become smaller. This process enables the plant to avoid excessive loss of which substance? A, methane. B, salt. C, water. D, nitrates. Good question. Number 30. Certain poisons are toxic to organisms because they interfere with the function of enzymes in the mitochondria. This would result directly in inability of the cell to A, store information, B, dispose of metabolic wastes, C, build proteins, or D, release energy from the nutrients? Let's move down to 31 here. Come on now. 31. Question 31. We're going to get to you. There you go. The diagrams below represent two different cells, or cell 1 and cell 2. In both cells, the organelles labeled E, it's this one right here, are sites of A, secretion, B, food storage, C, aerobic respiration, or D, starch synthesis. Question 32. Question 32. Which one of the following structures are found in plant cells but not in animal cells? Is it A, mitochondria and cell membranes, B, cell walls and cell membranes, C, cell membranes and chloroplasts, or D, cell walls and chloroplasts? And finally, our last question on the exam. How are you guys feeling? Pretty good? All right. 33. The diagram below represents a cell organelle involved with the transfer of energy from organic compounds. There's that picture, and there's arrows shooting out of it. The arrows in the diagram could represent the release of A, ATP from a chloroplast carrying out photosynthesis, B, glucose from a chloroplast carrying out respiration, C, carbon dioxide from a mitochondrion carrying out respiration, D, oxygen from a mitochondrion carrying out photosynthesis. All right, that's the test. Hope you had fun, as much fun taking it as I did reading it. Only a couple of interruptions with bells and announcements. Remember, there you go. Remember, message me if you want me to reset the test for you. Have a great break. That is all.